Wow, guys, look at that shower. Look at this place in general. This is quite a unique hotel here in Miami. My room. This cool little trunk thing. Oh god. Trunk? It's pretty cool. This thing. Window. Can I open the windows? Nope. No suicide allowed here. Yeah. Do they have a rooftop pool, or is that the building next door? I actually used to date this girl, Marissa, who used to live right nearby where I'm at right now. I was maybe 17, 16. I don't know. Around there when I dated Marissa. She had a pretty cool place. Hey, look at this. More fancy schmancy closet things. I feel like nauseous. Some aspects I'm happy to have like a space to chill. However, like this hotel doesn't have parking basically in the middle of Miami, so I had to go find a parking garage. It was either that or do valet, which valet can be dangerous because stuff can go missing, and I didn't really feel like messing with that because I have like everything that I own and everything that's important inside my bag. I left my laptop in the car. I carried as much weight as I could, or not really though, you know. I mean, I just carried a big heavy backpack. Some stuff is stuff that will be used up kind of thing. Some stuff was for fun, like I brought my mask just in case they have a pool here. I got some face cleaning wipes. Got my toiletries. I literally brought my entire shampoo and conditioner because I didn't know how long I was going to be down here. My dad is saying now maybe he'll only need me a couple days. But I'm still freaking out because I got homework and I'm trying to do a museum while I'm down here. However, both museums I called to try to get some information, they basically told me that no one's there to help me out. And then mainly I'm calling because like my assignment requires me to get dimensions. And I was calling to see if they offered dimensions or whatever. But basically no one's there until tomorrow. Meanwhile, time's ticking away for me. My dad said he has word on his computer. There's no certainty that my dad's going to be getting out of the hospital. I'm kind of just pacing and going a little bit crazy. You know, this is just like a small sample of all the things I'm going through. I almost don't even know where to begin. I always am going through stuff, right? And most of the time I'm quiet and I don't really like to talk about it. Although, as I stated before, I would like to be more transparent in my sufferings instead of just showing you like all the acting and all the good stuff, you know? Like I want to be a person and to share this truth with you, and hopefully maybe you can learn something from it or share it with someone that you know, or maybe you can teach me something, or so many different levels. So it's Father's Day, and my dad means so much to me, and I've said this so many times, and it's no offense to my mom or anything. I love my mom too. However, my father and I, you know, daddy's girl, mama's boy, you know how that exists for a reason. However, my dad and I are really tight. And my dad's someone that I can talk to about physics and string theory, and he's just someone that actually is educated in all this stuff and doesn't look at me like I'm crazy because he's actually done his homework, and it's nice to actually have someone to talk to about that stuff. So it's been that way since I was a kid, basically, you know, my dad being someone that I can talk to about all that stuff. And I grew up my entire life. My dad has medical issues where he has a immunity deficiency, which makes him, you know, like a weaker immune system and stuff like that. So I grew up like kind of really afraid to lose him. And then, I always wondered in my own psychology if in my youth, I dated or was always looking for love, or I dated older men, or if that was kind of like the psychological impact of my father. However, when I first found out my dad was in the hospital, I like completely freaked out. Like I wanted to run down here immediately. And before I found out he was ill, my brother was going through some stuff too, and I was going through some stuff, and I didn't really know why I was feeling all the things I was feeling. I was just kind of feeling them, and I was just really angry, and I was sad, and just a lot of these emotions came from nowhere. And then once I found out what was going on in my family, it made a little bit more sense while I was kind of like tuning into all of that stuff. And then, as I mentioned before, my brother had like, medical issues with himself going on right now with his broken face basically, and him and my dad both clean pools, and my brother had a helper, and he saw my dad and his leg at the like chemical store, for pools and stuff. And my brother calls my dad out and basically convinces my dad to go to the hospital. And my dad like had the illness for like 3 days, and he thought it was just a spider bite, and the doctors thought it was a spider bite too. And then he ended up going to the hospital, and then they wouldn't let him leave, and it turns out he had MRSA. And at first, I got really freaked out because MRSA is really serious. It can be deadly, and it's a staph infection, and some of it is immune to antibiotics. And with my dad already having a low immune system, essentially, like it made me kind of concerned, and my dad was concerned that he might have to lose a leg, and there was all these awful yet funny jokes that everybody was making. My family's kind of like that. We're into horror and dark humor in some aspects. It's how we kind of coped as a family. So my dad actually ended up needing surgery, and they were able to pull out the infection. My dad actually sent me like the goriest picture of like these tubes and things that were inside his leg. I kind of wanted to share it, but like not many people like that stuff, and it's actually kind of censored and forbidden on Facebook, which is something else that I talked in one of my videos. And you guys, I've made so many videos, and sometimes I've made videos and I've deleted them, and I just kind of lost track of what I posted. So I'm sure along the years of you following me, if you watch every video or something like that, that I may repeat a couple things that kind of like are deeply integrated with who I am. I'm trying to remember why exactly I said that. It was something that I wanted to bring up. I don't know if I can remember it. Nope. I'm just like not a happy puppy. That's what I want to talk about. You're not allowed to talk about suicide. You're not allowed to mention to society or publicly post anything about self-harm. And you have all this stuff like about posting awareness, and you're supposed to just call the suicide hotline. Not everybody's really going to do that, and you can't even really say anything that you're feeling this way because you might get locked up and people could take it the wrong way, and supposedly you're not supposed to post that publicly because you need someone who is professionally trained to handle someone like you. But it just really bothered me that we weren't even really allowed to talk as a society collectively about all of this pain and all this stuff going on. And then, speaking of suicide, I might as well just mention it. You guys, like I've battled, I don't know if I would call it battling. I've endured, I've enjoyed, I've played with self-mutilation or whatever, and I've had, you could say, suicidal ideations. I love horrors, and I have a crazy imagination, so my mind goes multiple different levels. And like I was kind of going through a time period in my life right now, like where I feel like I'm like almost in like a midlife crisis, even though I'm like 26. Because like I feel like I don't know what I want, or like the fact that like I'm single, or like there's like a lot of different things that kind of just really ate me up. But like, so I was catching those feelings, right, of like not wanting to be here anymore, wanting to go home being like the planet where I came from, or going back to God, or whatever you wanted to call it. And then like I find out this stuff is going on with my brother, and like that of course hits me and makes me feel like, wake up, Trina, like your health is really good, your life is actually pretty great. When I like compared it And then like this thing happened with my dad. And then like I kind of just got really mad at myself because like here I am like wishing for death. And then you have someone like, you know, my dad in his medical condition where he doesn't really have a choice how eventually like, you know, this illness could take you away at any time, however lucky, you know, he's been very fortunate and all the things. And man, it's crazy. If you talk about my dad's story, you know, like I really would love for my dad to share his story with you without me having to share it like when he's gone or whatever. But like my dad's been through like a lot and he's very, very strong, much like me. You know, I get a lot of like who I am from him. And then like, I've had like a lot of emotional attachment to stuff, as you can see. So I'm dealing with mindfulness. I'm studying right now, like attempting to mentally or emotionally detach myself from some things. And there's like a lot of truth that I wanted to share that are like heavy truths, you know, that are parts of who I am. And like some things I've already talked about before, but like re-bringing them up sometimes can feel bad. And there's like a lot of shame and stigma and a lot of stuff that goes around it. So sometimes I didn't really want to talk about it, or didn't want to bring it up, or didn't want to miss out on opportunities by being completely honest. But at the same time, like there comes a point where holding on to the truth just kind of like eats you up inside. And it's like, do I hold all this inside and want to die? Or do I just like let you know what's up and just get it off my chest and try to find a community that really understands me and knows who I am because I'm able to be transparent, right? One of the hugest things for me is safety, you know? I don't really know what happened in my youth. I mean, there's a lot of things I could definitely talk about that I'm not really ready to talk about, that I actually am really ready to talk about, but like this is like public forum. I'm not really ready to put all of that out there. However, there's a lot of depths that I've come to understanding about myself, and a lot of things about my childhood, and a lot of things, you know, we don't really talk about, and we're taught to kind of just move on and stuff like that. But safety is a huge thing for me, and what I've been working with Heather, my Reiki master, you know, she's an intuitive empath, and she asked me a question that basically made me want to break out crying because like I didn't realize it was true, but I knew it was true, kind of thing. She asked me, why do I think safety doesn't exist? And there's a lot of truth like that. Like I don't really feel like there's anywhere I can go, or that there's anything that would really make me feel safe. Like magically having a husband isn't going to really make me feel safe either, you know? Like I need like this own like sense of safety that I feel like that I can build and I can create. And I struggle to understand what that even means. Obviously we always turn to money because money is the root of all evil, and it's kind of the conditioning that's been shoved down our throats to kind of like survive this planet. I kind of wanted to come clean about a couple other things, you know, and like since I've come this far, I feel like I should get it out. So I'm kind of like going through a breakup right now. I loved this person for a long time, and essentially we had already broken up, or we knew it was coming. You know, I mentioned this before, DTS was a submissive of mine that I ended up falling in love with, who actually ended up being married, and never planned on leaving his wife. However, now he's actually telling his wife. And it's hard for me because I feel like I'm not just losing a BDSM relationship, I'm not just losing a lover, I'm losing a friend, and I'm losing this person who's definitely been like a mentor and helpful, and just like we served a lot of different purposes in each other's life. And now I'm glad he's telling the truth. In fact, I'm kind of the one that created this, but at the same time, like you know, I couldn't be in that anymore, or like, it just got really messy, and I just had to like officially break away, which was really hard because I definitely loved the person, though I felt like it was going against the grain of the things that I wanted for myself. Like I don't want to be cheated on, I don't want to be lied to, and I don't really want to participate in that either, you know? I mean, I bought into the facade that it could possibly be all in public, and I said this in the last video, I'll say this again, I've been with 2 married men my entire life, and I'll never be with a married man again, at least not consciously, you know, no matter how much love is there or whatever's going on. And then I also actually, because of him, he encouraged me to stop smoking weed for about, I stayed clean for 8 months, and I smoked weed my entire life. And when I went to Washington, I smoked again. And I'm feeling like a lot of guilt. I feel like a drug addict, like someone who relapsed and went back. And I know like the pipe or weed like isn't really that big of a deal to a lot of people, but you know, when I stopped, like all my dreams started coming back, and I went through a lot through the withdrawal and stuff like that. My video is getting long, and I'm gonna maybe do part 2. I love you. Thank you. Bye.